Hello everyone. Today we're going to go over the match results for the month of June in 2023 for this 3-card blind tournament, and I'm going to try to give you an overview of what the meta looked like. To begin, let's talk about the most popular card this month. The most popular card was Black Lotus, which appeared in roughly 41% of decks. This should really come as no surprise. Black Lotus is iconic in Magic the Gathering for being one of the best, if not the best, mana source ever printed, so of course it does have a strong home in 3-card blind. The second most popular card, though, is one that poses a much greater challenge for the meta, and that is Chancellor of the Annex, which appeared in 18.5% of decks. Notably, Chancellor of the Annex requires very little commitment to take advantage of the card. A lot of the decks that used Chancellor of the Annex had no plan to actually cast the card and were purely leaning into that opening hand effect. That opening hand effect is so strong and so disruptive in 3-card blind that decks this month that included Chancellor of the Annex managed to get an average of 72% for their score, which for the breakdown here is 174 wins, 25 ties, and 61 losses, which for a single card is a very astounding statistic to have when it was one of the more popular cards in decks. If we look at the leaderboard, 12 players out of the 27 who participated came in with an above 50% win rate. And among those who had an above 50% win rate, 5 of them were using Chancellor of the Annex. So it is safe to say, if you didn't play around or with Chancellor of the Annex this month, you were in for a bad time. Now that we've addressed the elephant in the room, being the Chancellor, let's take a look at the top deck. And the top deck was submitted by 2 players, Mirror Metal and CK. It was Black Lotus, City of Traders, and Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. What's very significant about this deck, other than the fact that it wins on turn 1, pretty much guaranteed, is that the deck can play through Chancellor of the Annex's effect. You play City of Traders first, generate 2 colorless mana, then play Black Lotus, and use one of the colorless mana to pay for Chancellor of the Annex's effect, which leaves you with 1 colorless and the Black Lotus to generate 3 blue mana and play Jace, Wielder of Mysteries and win the game on the spot. For that reason, this month, the Jace, Wielder of Mysteries deck won every single game that it took the first turn, and also performed remarkably well even when it was on the second turn. Overall, the deck came in with 46 wins, 2 ties, and 4 losses, for an average score of 90%. I think it's also fair to mention here that because 2 players submitted the deck, that one of those 4 losses was actually to the exact same deck, where whichever player went first was the player who won that game. So I think we've heard enough about Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, at least for now. So let's continue and talk a little bit about the second best deck that was submitted this month, which was submitted by player AW, or AW, and the deck was Chancellor of the Annex, Acacian Store, and Strip Mine. So notably, this was the strongest version of a Chancellor of the Annex deck submitted this month, at least relative to the other decks. And it actually does aim to play the Chancellor of the Annex as its win condition, and it uses Acacian Store to bank mana in order to make that happen, while having Strip Mine as an extra layer of disruption. Most notably, Strip Mine disrupts other players who are using similar lands, these storage lands, just like Acacian Store. So notably, that ability to destroy those storage lands gave this deck an edge over other Chancellor of the Annex decks that followed a similar structure. That being said, there were a couple of other Chancellor of the Annex decks that didn't use the storage land archetype. Those decks included Cadennis's Chancellor of the Annex, Lupine Prototype, Mishra's Workshop, and All Hail Herobrine's Black Lotus, Chancellor of the Annex, Steel Seraph decks, which both intend to use a strong mana source, Black Lotus or Mishra's Workshop, to drop their bombs and just rely on Chancellor of the Annex for disruption from hand. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this meta overview. There are of course many other really cool decks submitted this month that had varying degrees of success, but I'd encourage you to go to the website and check those out yourself. And if you participated this month, definitely go to the website to see how you performed relative to other players and take a look at your match breakdowns. And just as a reminder, in case you missed the previous video, I have created a Discord channel that you can join to discuss the match results, as well as anything else 3-card blind related. And notably, there is a channel in the server that if you are concerned that one of the matches was not calculated correctly, that you can go to that channel to receive support, and I can make an amendment to the match history if need be. I was very careful with calculating the match outcomes, but I am human and I could have made a typo or made some kind of other error. I also wanted to take a minute to address here that if you are joining the format for the first time, you might be quite alarmed at some of the trends that you're seeing with Chancellor of the Annex and Jace Wielder of Mysteries, but rest assured, there will be an opportunity to discuss bans in the near future. I will leave it up to the community to decide which cards are okay for the format and which cards may need to go sit on the bench for a bit. And with that, I'd like to quickly congratulate Mirror Metal and CK again for both coming in at the top of the monthly leaderboard, as well as rocketing up to the top of the lifetime leaderboard. Looking forward to sharing some more of the interesting matches and decks with you in the near future. See you then.